Hi everyone, I'm Felicia with the MediaBeast Marketing Group. I'm actually out in the Ohio branch. I help oversee and manage that particular branch. I am one of the senior account managers on the team. I've been with the company now over 4 years. I'm working closely with Matt for about 7, 8 years. I was actually previously a client of the MediaBeast, saw the potential there within Matt's company as he was growing it, and ended up moving back home to Ohio after having children. So definitely did a career shift for the better. I'm very excited to be a part of this team. I am excited to be a part of this partnership with Saga Radio, where we can take this together and where we can grow. So what we are going to be focusing on today is going to be in regards to prospecting tools. And I know Matt had mentioned in the welcome video, touched on some of these tools. So what we'll be doing today is taking a deeper dive into those tools, where you can access them, but most importantly, how they can be of value to you, how to prospect for an online prospect, so to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it around and share my screen. So then this way we can go ahead and walk through each deck with a couple live examples, and then you will get a copy of this so that you can see all the hyperlinks of the one-sheeters and to dive into it even further, get your hands on it and understand how you can use it. Of course, any questions after this video training that you may have, please reach out to that designated market manager or project manager, and we'll be happy to make sure we get those answered for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what we're going to be talking about is how can we find the right and best prospects for online. So what we're going to start with is a couple live examples. Some things to keep in mind as we navigate through these next few slides and through some of these prospecting tools is going to be specifically for a 20-foot level. So this is going to help, again, me being in your shoes, looking at ways that I can prospect for an online or a great potential online prospect. This is going to be something that you want to analyze, use these tools to look at a 20-foot view, to get the foot in the door, get that VBR, get something that is, valid to bring to an owner in ways that you can help him grow help him or her grow their business. So again, top level, analyze what you see, really use these tools to become familiar and gain some knowledge, looking for pluses and minuses. So this will be what we talk through, things that you can do, directly after this call, or just ways that you can search. So one great way in starting is doing live Google searches by category. So, in our experience, and we can continue to elaborate on this throughout the partnership, but I did a couple different category examples that we'll be taking a look at together here. But most importantly, knowing to just do a live Google search, and specifically by category. Some categories that we know perform very, very well on digital, are going to be home service companies. You got roofing, plumbing, electric. There's lawyers and law firms that do phenomenal in regards to online and conversions and tracking and building up their searches and their awareness. There's also, like I said, outside of lawyers, there may be, inspection companies, disaster restoration companies. So again, there is a full list that's all available as well in some of the one-sheeters by category. So we'll take a few examples and looks at some of these here. Starting with doing a search, best roofing company, Charleston, SC. So just typing that into Google and looking at the result, specifically, and understanding that result, what we're looking at. So essentially, I'm going to break it down. This may be information or knowledge that you know already, but again, just for purposes across the board for all levels of education with online, I'm going to walk through what each of these are. Okay, starting with the top. So this is something you may have heard us mention in some of our training videos. This may be new to you, but essentially they have now what's called local service ads. There's also a variation of that called Google Screen that we'll look at today as an example as well. But looking specifically here at the best roofing company, Charleston SC. So you can see these here are called Google guaranteed. So essentially, like similar to local service ads in a paid service, these are a profile in which Google has vetted you out essentially and given you, you can see that green check mark there, letting people know they've been through the process, they've done background checks, their business is valid, they have a good star rating, and depending on how long they've been open as well. So those are things, as you can see, it has the little sponsored icon there, but that green check mark is how you can know the difference between that and then obviously the paid search with the little AD next to it here. So these are all what we're looking at on this paid search and paid service ads. Again, there'll be more information in regards to these, but keeping in mind of where to look when you're doing these searches. So for example, if we scroll a little bit down, as everyone's probably familiar with, this map listing here. So you can see outside of the search term, it's important to remember at the top of the page, you have the paid ads, knowing that AD right next to it or that green check mark is a paid ad, paid service. It costs money for that particular click. When you're looking and you scroll down into the map listing, a lot of time this can get construed with organic and SEO presence. This is separate. This is Google My Business listings. This is a whole different game in regards to visibility and how you rank, predominantly being with your specific locality of where you're located, your star rating and how long you've been in business, and the continued, reviews that are ongoing. So this particular area generally is at a prospecting view, isn't somewhere we probably want to lie where we're picking through people that are showing up on the map. Where we want to focus is going to be specifically, in the organic results, the non-paid results, further down on pages 2, 3, 4, ones that really need help with overall visibility. So for this particular example, again, just going through what these search results mean. So we have those local ones, the first ones on Google screen, the paid with the AD next to it, and then you have the map listing, and then you get into your true organic results. All of these results here that you see that don't have the AD, they don't fall within the map listing, are considered organic results, which is non-paid. So this is not going to cost anything for people to click like it would on the first screen when we saw the little AD next to it or that green Google screened check mark. So again, you can kind of strum through just with Best Roofing Company, Charleston SC, and get an idea of what each one means. Who's paying for advertising? Who isn't? Who's showing up visibly on page 1? Who's falling down lower in the rankings? For example, when we search here, if you notice on page 3, that's ideally, as I just mentioned, where you should start. So when you're doing searches by category, so I'm focusing specifically on this one for roofing companies near me because I know they perform well online. So in searching Best Roofing Company, Charleston SC, I'm not going to focus necessarily on page 1, 2, or 3. Now, that can be, as you're looking for new prospects, a little bit different. If it's someone that is currently doing radio, that's something that you can specifically use those tools that we're going to look at here shortly. Get an idea for what they're doing. Is there more money on the table for advertising, of course, but also how are they doing? Ways that we can analyze that data and how they're performing, kind of get you that foot in the door, that VBR. So these are truly ways in which you can start to prospect new opportunities by doing these searches by category. And like I said, I would focus more on page 3, probably 3 to 5. Those are the ones that are going to need the help the most. The ones obviously dominant on page 1, 2, and 3, in the 1, 2, and 3 spots on the first page, obviously are very present there. That's, again, if it's a current where you may be able to, do a bait and switch situation, or maybe there's more dollars on the table that you guys could utilize or bring them now that you can offer online to them, that's something that you can focus on. But in true new prospects, I would start on page 3 of Google. Strum through, where they're not showing up in the paid advertisement. They don't have that visibility on page 1, and gather information on them. And then once you find, you know, pinpoint a business or somebody that you see, you know, start analyzing what they're doing. Then use some of these prospecting tools that we're going to dive into to get a better sense of their business, and then develop your VBR to get your foot in the door with them. And that's essentially the goal with some of these prospecting tools. So some other examples outside of, like I said, home services. So we looked at roofing, but another great category is estate lawyer. So again, just doing a live Google search, you can see estate lawyer Charleston, SC. Okay, so on these results, again, I highlighted in the arrows here, but you can see that, you know, it's a paid ad with seeing the AD right next to it. So again, this is who's currently ranking on page 1 specifically, and has visibility with a paid ad. Okay, so again, knowing what you're looking at, but again, by category, we know estate lawyer, they perform very well on a online presence specifically. So whether it's paid search, organic, a couple different ways. Now to dive into that more further, you can easily, and again, you'll get a copy of that. You'll be able to see this click link that'll take you right into search engine marketing, PPC. That's going to give you a one sheet in regards to the services included and what we do, how we do it. So all of that will be available. Again, as I'm sure you're coming up with, as I'm talking about paid as well, what is, you know, what's that include? What's the pricing on it? All of those things. So we have all of that available, hyperlinked into the deck for you guys. One thing to also know on estate lawyer Charleston SC1 prospecting, again, notice I'm going to page 3. So I'm not looking at who is dominating currently in page 1, 2, and 3. Most likely they have a strong presence. So focusing on those small, you know, family businesses that you know you can have a direct impact to help them grow their business. Those are the ones that need the help the most. One major thing I did want to point out, because you will notice it if you haven't already, when doing these searches, specifically paying attention to like an avo.com. So again, knowing that that's a directory, not a prospect. We don't want to be contacting Avo and trying to get essentially their online or their budgets. That is a directory listing. You know, things that would fall under Yelp or any other directory type. So ways to know, obviously, is you can see there's no AD here. So, you know, you can click into that hyperlink. Analyze a page about them. You can generally tell if it's a local company. But again, looking for those smaller family businesses or ones that really could use your knowledge, expertise, and help them grow. So again, generally at least page 3, maybe even page 2, looking for those that are showing up, you know, way below the fold, and to help them get that page 1 presence that they probably just have no clue how to get. And that's what we're here to help you with, and to provide you all those tools to be able to do that. On top of that, you will see, again, similar to paid search, there is a one sheet all about to learn more about search engine optimization. So remember, SEO, that can be that cheat sheet to know that's for organic, non-paid advertising. Another great category still within the law field is going to be divorce lawyers, you know, especially around January time frame, you know, after the holidays. I know it sounds crazy, but that is honestly with some of the lawyers we have worked with, they consider that their Super Bowl. So there is definitely some opportunity, specifically, you know, right into that new year for those that are going after, you know, needing divorce lawyer help. So essentially, a couple things to note here, a little bit different than what we saw for the original screen in regards to Google Screen, but now when you do it at, when it's connected to a person, you can see that they can do headshots. So this is going to fall more for like specifically for lawyers in real estate, where you can get your profile in this paid advertisement section. Again, similar, you could see that with the AD, it has the sponsored. It's a little different than the AD you see down here, but you can see the sponsored section here. So again, these are things that we can help somebody scroll through. So if you notice or think of somebody that maybe you're currently doing, and working with and have a relationship with, and you're like, oh, I don't see them in what we refer to as Google Screened. That's a great way to get in the door of, oh, did you guys get, Google Screened? Well, no, we didn't. What's that? So having those conversations where you're presented as the expert and giving them knowledge on things that they should be utilizing. So again, this is a paid advertisement in which you have to do, a background check. You have to submit your license. You have to go through certain steps to get verified on Google. But it is a very, very cost effective. It is also very conversion driven. Get a lot of really good leads from these paid ads, as well as the ads down here. To learn more about both local service ads that we talked about with the roofing companies, you can also get more information on that by clicking here. I won't do it right now for this purpose, but you'll be able to have all this access to you, and it's also on the one sheeter section of the resource page for you guys. Another category that I did want to focus on as well is going to be home inspections companies. Another great one, again, looking for a local company. We've obtained a home inspection company we've been working with for probably 8-9 years now. Was on page 3, 4, 5 organically and wasn't doing any paid advertisement. They're now predominantly anything home inspection within their local area. They are on page 1 in the paid advertisement, and they're also on page 1 organically. So, and he was one-man show. He is now hired 3, 4, 5, probably more people than that in the years we work with him. So we have had a direct impact, and that's what you can do with searching, through the page 2, page 3s of, for example, like the Inspection Boys of Charleston. When I click that website, when I look at it, it gives me that local feel. I can tell it is probably a smaller company, an area of opportunity where maybe they don't have somebody, maybe they just don't have the time because they're a one-man show doing everything themselves, where that is a huge opportunity where you can step in and help them out, give them that insight and knowledge, and let them know what you can do for them. So again, focusing on those that would need the help, pages 2 and 3 by category. So home inspection being another great category for online. And then the final category that I'm going to go through for this particular video, electrical company Charleston. By searching specifically by location, you can see page 3 is where I'm starting. So some of these, like we saw with the roofing, these are the local service ads. These are paid ads. At the top of the page here, you got that green check mark, Google guaranteed. It gives, again, that value to somebody that's searching for their services that they've been screened. These are people that are coming into their homes, so background checks have been performed. Makes people feel more comfortable. So again, knowing that these do carry over sometimes into pages 1, 2, and 3, but focusing like this one specifically, bossenergysc.com, home advisor, obviously that's directory. So just paying attention to what the search results are. Again, don't want to go after directories, but looking for those local, family businesses or, smaller businesses that need your help and expertise. Again, started on page 3 here, looking at form 5. I generally go past page 1 when I'm prospecting and looking for new opportunities. So again, home services, so electrical company, HVAC company, plumbing company, all great categories for online. So I'm going to jump into now the actual prospecting tools. So again, kind of a quick recap, do some online searches, again, truly new prospects, a foot in the door, go to pages 2 and 3 of Google. Analyze what they're doing, look at what the search results say. Again, now we know the difference between, the local or Google screened at the very top with the profiles, plus the additional paid advertising, the traditional paid advertising underneath, and then you get into organic. So getting a feel for, again, those that would need the help. And then obviously now we're going to talk about, well, once we see or find a prospect, by looking, say we grab one of those companies off of page 2 or 3. Well, let's see how they're doing and find a VBR so that we can set up a CMA call. So some of the prospecting tools that we're going to cover today is going to be, SEO Optimer, SpyFu, Directory Scan. So the ones I have highlighted in yellow here being the 3 C's of a high converting website, very important, as well as the WordStream budget generator. Because we're focusing more on prospecting, these are things that will probably be a separate training video. We do have some additional videos and training videos that talk on these topics already in the resource center, but those will be a little bit more in depth. Of course, I will touch on them briefly here, as Matt did in the welcome video, but looking at when you're prospecting, when you find somebody, say on page 3, and you click into their website, analyze the website. Is it the 3 C's, highly, high converting? Is it clear and concise? What is the message? What do they represent? Is it something you can tell as soon as you go there? Or are you like, well, I'm confused. What exactly do they do? What do they represent? And then obviously a clear way to communicate. So wanting to know, do you want somebody calling you? Do you want them filling out a form? Do you want them applying? So those are things that we get pretty in depth with, and it is a huge factor when even running any kind of online, is to have a highly converting website. If it's something that isn't conversion friendly, or something that essentially is not underneath the 3 C's, it makes it very difficult to be successful. So again, setting yourself up for success and analyzing those things when you're looking and prospecting. So that will be something that we dive into specifically on a separate video call. Today, like I said, we're going to focus on SEO Optimer, how you can use it, where you can get it, SpyFu, and Directory Scan. So starting with SEO Optimer, so that's going to be specifically, I'm sure some just getting familiar with it on the Resource Center, but analyzing and what is currently going on with a website. So essentially it's going to be an audit. Main takeaway with this particular prospecting tool is going to be, analyzing, yes, the score. I don't want to get too, I want to recommend getting too tied up in the score specifically. It's more almost of like a wellness checkup. So, not getting hyper targeted of like, okay, they scored a 67, like this example here, your page could be doing better. I would say a good benchmark, 50 or lower, they're most likely going to need help everywhere. Above that, there may be a couple things here and there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't, dominant on page 1, even though their score, is 67. So the main focus, and I'll pull this up here to look at a live one. Again, this will be, I'll briefly show you the Resource Center after this, where you can actually go and plug in a website in this tool. But this is a live example of, I typed in the website URL, had them do an audit on this particular domain. So this is what the report will spit back out to you. Again, an overall score, just some basic recommendations, improvements. Again, where I really focus on, where you don't get too diluted with some of this content that's being spit back out, is the keywords section. So specifically knowing what type of keywords they're currently optimizing their website for, or what they're currently doing. So for this one, you can see obviously Slayton, which is a brand, what we consider a branded term. So it tells you on, are they mostly getting brand? It can speak obviously to if it is a current customer or current prospect that is doing radio, you know that they're doing online, they have business for online. Now we can offer that and gather a BDR to get in to talk to them about getting those online dollars. So this can, the brand, obviously a keyword, that can be a positive. Hey, this is, radio, what we're doing is working. We can see a lift and elevation in your brand. But then also on the other side of that is the discovery searches, or is it fully branded terms? Are you actually showing up for anything that you service? So if you're a divorce lawyer near me, you want to show up for those types of keywords. For a service specific keyword, what we refer to as discovery, as mentioned. So really, like I said, overview of the score, get a general sense. 50 would be a good benchmark of, you know, it's probably a little bit of a mess, 50 below. But outside of that, I would really focus in on what current keywords is this website optimizing for. That's where you can start getting into analyzing opportunities, you know, things that they might be doing well, things that they might need an opportunity or have growth to improve upon. So it's just a good way to get a general sense and knowledge of what's going on with their website. Again, like a wellness check. So that can be found obviously in the resource center specifically. So that's something that you all have access to, you know, get in there, get familiar with plugging in a couple of website URLs and then focusing in on, you know, that keyword section, but, you know, have a general sense of how they're ranking, the website speed and things of that knowledge. The next prospecting tool that we're going to talk about is SpyFu. So this is a great tool generally as an awareness. You know, you found a prospect and you can grab their URL and plug them in to SpyFu to get a general sense of, okay, are they spending ad dollars or not? Are they relying heavy on organic traffic, paid traffic? Again, a gray area that we'll look at here shortly to see what are the keywords that they're ranking for. If they are spending, you know, ad dollars, if they're doing paid search, what are the keywords that they're bidding on? What are they, you know, what is of value to them? Or maybe it's an opportunity of, hey, did you know you guys are all literally buying your name, but you're not buying specific keywords that are actually being searched? Or are they relying heavily on an organic presence? So again, the main takeaway with this tool is to get a general sense of, you know, the history of what this prospect has been doing or is currently doing. It's a great way to familiarize yourself with what is going on with their website and what they're currently, or at least what it looks like they're currently doing. One very important note here, as you use this tool, and I've highlighted it here, this estimated monthly Google Ads budget, for example, for this one, $13.78. Do not get caught up or stuck on that number. Generally is not any accuracy to it. They just, obviously this isn't direct access to an AdWords campaign that they're running. So it's just pulling general knowledge information based on historical data. So it doesn't always have all that information to know what they truly are spending. That's something that we can dive into, you know, a little further, get an idea on an industry, you know, benchmark in that WordStream budget analyzer. So this one, like I said, this tool, again, gain some history on the prospects, what they're currently doing. I want to get too caught up with, oh, they're only spending $1,300 a month. So just a note to know that is something that, again, will be a different tool to utilize overall budgets. So this particular tool, you'll be able to see, like I said, once this loads here, the overall domain overview. What's nice here is, again, you can see organic keywords. So clearly we can see that they have, you know, trending down over the last month or so, but you can get an estimation of their organic presence. You know, I'd say it's pretty split here. Obviously this is going to say like, oh, it looks like they haven't done much since April, but we see a spike here in the organic. You can see that by organic being the green, paid being the blue. So it's a general overview too, like, okay, they have 162 paid ads. So again, just a great knowledge to know if they actually are running anything currently, or if they have run something in the past, to give you an idea, like an opportunity. Okay, they do have money to spend. They were spending it, you know, if they haven't done anything since April 2020, maybe COVID really impacted them. That could be, you know, VBR to get into the door, you know, have that empathy with them. So again, just touching on ways in which you can find those opportunities of what they did do or were currently doing, but again, also looking for opportunity. An area here that I like to look at, similar to, you know, the audit, is keywords. So you can see if you were to, these are all hyperlinks where you can see all keywords, paid keywords here. Again, you can see view all paid keywords, but top ones here saying, oh, Let me go back. It only shows you some of them. So top ones here will obviously show up on that overview, specifically on some keywords that they're bidding on, what happens when you file bankruptcy, help with my credit, credit attorney, things of that nature. So it gives you an idea with those paid ads. Obviously without a paid prescription, this is the free tool. Like when you do hyperlink, it'll show you maybe the first like 10 or so, it doesn't show all of them. But it gives you a good general sense of branded or discovery searches. This is also, like I said, it can tell you some top Google buy recommendations, but where I really like this tool as well, not only does it kind of tell you about at some point if they ran paid, if they're currently running paid, but it also can give you an idea of what they're advertising. So whoever was doing it in the past, or if they were doing it internally, it's great to be able to see what they're actually saying within their ad. So it's a great way to, again, become knowledgeable of what you're seeing, something that you may, in a CNA call, talk about with them. But again, you can see this one particularly, stop wage garnishments, financial trouble, we can help. So it could give you an idea as well what they're trying to go after specifically, or what their main focus is. So you can see here, like, 25 years experience, free 30-minute phone consultation, things of that nature. So it gives you a good idea of what they're currently doing. So again, with this section, like I said, it gives you a good history, kind of at the top. Do they have a presence organically or paid, or both? This particular case, they, at least at one point or are currently running paid, and they have a little bit of an organic presence as well. And then obviously you can get an idea for some of those keywords, and then focusing in as well on what does that ad copy say, and getting some information on that. So that, again, all these will be hyperlinked. That is in the resource center for you as well to access. So you'll be able to get in there and get familiar with the tool. Just plug in a couple that you even may know as you try to, figure out the tool, what ways and what you want to pinpoint specifically. So Google Analytics. This prospecting tool, main thing really to focus on here, is obviously some of you may have already had those conversations. This is now a familiar term for most people, is getting the access to Google Analytics. But the main takeaway for Google Analytics is essentially, if we, MediaBeast, get access, it will give you a huge competitive edge. We're able to do thorough research, basically look underneath the hood of the business. This tells us, essentially everything of how they're getting traffic, where is the traffic coming from, what sources is working for them, what's the time on the site. So it really gives us a chance to do a thorough research, discover who they are working with, what is working, what's not working. So sometimes it's a way of, what, you're doing a really good job at that, and that's fine to say. Other times it may be that opportunity, more specifically, of, again, seeing who they're working with. A great example in the past, we've had, now it's been a client of ours for probably 6-7 years, where they had said, well, my reports are telling me that I'm up in organic by, 150% compared to last year. Well, we were able, okay, well, do you mind if we see read-only access? We'd love to give you our insight, or, input as to what's going on. We're able to get that by just simply asking for it. You'll find that is easier to get than you think, if you ask for it. And essentially, when we went in there, when we looked in, underneath the hood of, okay, their top traffic source is organic. Oh yeah, it does say they're up 150%. Well, then we separated it out by where that traffic's coming from through user location. And everything was out of state. Everything was out of state. That was a huge light bulb moment for them, an eye opener. And that's essentially the goal with this, is to become it and to analyze what's currently working. And like I said, there's times where it's like, great job, you're doing a great job. That even holds value, because you're becoming that expert to them. You're not just, necessarily selling, but building up your, expertise in this area and how you can help them. So again, we ended up getting that client, and they've been with us for 6-7 years now, and is a great opportunity growth that actually turned into be a franchise opportunity. So again, getting underneath the hood, main takeaways is honestly going to give you a huge competitive edge. We're able to then really see what's going on, and even if they are currently working with someone, what's working, what's not. So really just allows a full, comprehensive, in-depth analysis of what they're doing. Now, we do have an awesome, easy step-by-step tool for you in the Resource Center. It's also hyperlinked here. You can just click right into it, but essentially to get the access. So again, you'll just simply click that, asking for the access. We do recommend one consolidated account for analytic access for each market. So for example, sagacharlottesville@gmail.com. So each market will have their own account designated to them, so it's localized. So when you're asking for the client, you'll simply can share this one sheet with them. That makes it very, very simple for them to see how to do that. So you would simply, again, this is telling them, the owner of the Google Analytics, so your prospect or the business owner, whoever's managing that, they would simply just log in. We have a step-by-step with screenshot, click on the admin, the account, user management. Again, I won't read through all these for you, but it's very, very easy to analyze, and that's where you would then say, you would add whatever your email address is to your designated market for read and analyze. So we don't need admin access. We aren't going to touch anything. We aren't going to mess with anything. We're literally just going to read and analyze. So it's important to notate when you are asking for it. I generally say we only need read and analyze. It's not as threatening, specifically if they're working for another company with another company, obviously. That's an easy ask of just read and analyze. So making sure that is said within that, and then you have each step-by-step with screenshots of how to get that. So you would just simply pass this along to the client. So that's all available to you in the Resource Center, and then obviously in this deck here as well. So outside of that, kind of going into one of the final prospecting tools that we're going to cover today is the directory scan. So this is something specifically, again, easily accessed right there. I think like you scroll down like once, it's right in the main portion of the Resource Center for you guys. But essentially, the most important thing with directory listings is, why? Why do I need everything to match? Well, essentially what this does, and we have a tool that is now your tool as well through working with us as a partnership, is essentially making sure there's consistency across the board. So Google likes to see uniformity across all listings. So even though, I'm talking phone number, address, business name, it needs to be the same and consistent throughout. So it doesn't really matter exact, like which map, app, voice assistant, as you can see in the notes here. What matters is that they discover accurate, complete, and compelling information, no matter where it's showing. So what this does, it's a great report that shows how they're currently, optimized, so to speak, or if they have everything lined up the way that Google likes to see. So for example, this one, if you just plug in the information that's for the prospect, it'll spit out a full PDF report that you can download and see. Yahoo, problem scanning the publisher. Bing, this one is saying a different business name than what is, verified on Facebook. Foursquare. So the address, that at least lines up. You can see here the phone number is different here. So this will have a negative impact to your SEO and optimization if it is not corrected. So you have the tools where you would, if they obviously signed on and became a client, then we would clear all this up for them so that they have zero errors. So you can see right now this particular example has 73 location data errors detected. So again, this can easily be found inside that resource page. Again, as we're on here, you can see the research SpyFu's right there on the resource page. Okay, SEO Optimer audit. Right there, enter website, email you want it to go to, hit check, and that'll spit that out to you. And then obviously this is the directory listing. So you just enter in this information and you would hit scan now. So everything is available to you that we've covered today. Obviously the goal today, just giving you some insight as to how to use those tools, how to prospect by category, looking for those that we know perform very well online. And then specifically, obviously, as we grow, each market will be added here for what your dashboard access is, analytics, how-to guide, everything customizable to your markets. And then you have all the other one sheets as I hyperlinked inside the deck. You have SEO plans and pricing, builds. You have all that access right here in the resource center. So that is something, the online request form, things that will be going in depth further, down the line into the partnership, but that is all going to be in your resource center for you to make it nice and easy. So essentially, as we wrap up today, again, some other services and resources that we're going to talk about, I just briefly mentioned, that are on the resource page, rate card, creative services, SEO services, the online strategy request, asset sheet, and then the Beast Bites, basically keeping you knowledgeable. Those will be automatically deployed out. We'll make sure you're on the distribution list. And then probably expect a video forthcoming specifically for, like the asset sheet, how we can utilize that, how it needs to be filled out so that we have the right information for campaign builds once you turn in an IO. So again, thank you so much for your time. Again, very excited for our partnership. We do encourage you to go into your designated resource center. Your GM can show you how to access that if you don't know how, and get familiar with these prospecting tools that we've provided, outside of those additional resource and training videos that I just touched upon briefly in the resource center. So again, get in there, get your hands on them, play around with them. We are here if you have any questions for us. And again, want to thank you for your time and looking forward to working together. Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.